Egypt is famous for its pyramids, mummies, and golden treasures, but there is a darker side to these discoveries that rarely makes it into the history books. Over the years, archaeologists have stumbled on objects so unsettling, so confusing that they were quietly locked away from the public eye. Whether it's artifacts tied to death rituals, strange experiments, or items that seemed far too advanced for their time, these are the disturbing Egyptian artifacts the world wasn't supposed to see. Imagine an entire Egyptian city vanishing beneath the sea and staying hidden for nearly 2,000 years. That's exactly what happened off of Abu Qir Bay near Alexandria. Recent underwater excavations revealed the ruins of Canopus, a city once known for lavish festivals and religious rites that attracted people from across the ancient world. What divers found beneath the waves was eerie. There were massive stone statues lying headless on the seafloor, coins scattered across the sand, marble figures with limbs missing, and even carved docks and warehouses that looked like they were abandoned in a single moment of chaos. Archaeologists believe earthquakes and tsunamis swallowed the city whole, locking away its treasures for centuries. Even today, many of the relics remain too fragile to move. They sit underwater, preserved but out of reach, like a time capsule of disaster. It's disturbing to realize that a place once filled with music, rituals, and life now rests silent in the dark, its secrets still locked away from the public. In 2008, archaeologists digging in the ruins of Akhenaten, in the city built by the pharaoh Akhenaten, found a tiny object that didn't look like much. It was a whistle carved from the toe bone of a young cow. At first, it was catalogued and quietly stored away, but when researchers finally re-examined it years later, they realized that it was over 3,300 years old and was far more unsettling than it seemed. This wasn't a toy. It was likely used by a guard or police officer to control access to the sacred tombs being built nearby. Replicas proved the whistle made a sharp, piercing sound, the kind that could stop workers in their tracks. What makes it disturbing is the glimpse it gives us into the control and surveillance that existed even in the ancient world. A simple bone whistle, hidden in storage for years, turns out to be the echo of authority and fear in one of Egypt's most sacred places. In the 1800s, archaeologists began unearthing mummies in the Faiyum region with something highly unusual: incredibly lifelike painted portraits covering their faces. Unlike the stylized, stiff art of ancient Egypt, these paintings looked almost like photographs. The eyes were hauntingly realistic, the expressions deeply human, but what disturbed experts most was that some of these portraits looked like they belonged in a modern art gallery rather than on 2,000-year-old mummies. Imagine a delicate hat made of organic stuff, surviving thousands of years just because it was forgotten in storage. This is the story of a sun hat found in Ilahan in the Fayyum region in Egypt back in 1888. It's dated to be between 2,100 and 2,400 years old, so roughly from the Greek or Roman period in Egypt. Experts believe it was likely worn by a Roman soldier or someone under Roman influence adapting to the Egyptian climate. What makes it disturbing or eerie is how fragile textile artifacts usually are. Most textile pieces decay very quickly unless the conditions are perfect. This hat survived because the ground was very dry. But for over 115 years, it was just in storage at Bolton Museum in the UK, almost completely out of sight. Its survival seemed almost miraculous, not because it had supernatural properties, but because of how unlikely it was that something so perishable would continue to exist. And now, it is finally on display. In the late 19th century, archaeologists working in the ancient Egyptian city of Oxyrhynchus discovered an enormous collection of papyrus manuscripts buried in the sand. We're talking hundreds of thousands of fragments. Among them were poems, lost plays from ancient Greece, and even religious writings that never made it into the Bible. What disturbed scholars most was how many of these texts contradicted what we thought we knew about the ancient world. Some writings hinted at secret rituals, while others contained stories that were simply too strange to classify. The sheer volume was overwhelming, and for years, most of the collection was hidden away in storage at Oxford University. Even today, researchers estimate that less than 10% of the papyri have been translated, meaning countless secrets are still locked away. In 1907, archaeologists uncovered a Middle Kingdom tomb containing 2 mummies. At first, the discovery seemed ordinary, but when researchers examined the remains, they found something shocking. The mummies were preserved with extraordinary care, but their DNA revealed that they weren't actually brothers by blood. One was of Egyptian descent, while the other had Nubian ancestry. Their lavish burial together in a tomb meant for close relatives challenged long-held assumptions about Egyptian family structures and identity. The unsettling discovery suggested that ancient Egyptians may have deliberately blurred the lines of kinship, perhaps for political or ritual reasons. The artifacts from the tomb were quietly kept from the public for decades, as the findings didn't fit the clean narrative of Egyptian history being taught at the time. In the Cairo Museum, hidden away from display for years, is a mysterious carved stone slab covered in what some researchers claim looks like a map. It was nicknamed the Dashka stone. The strange part? Some believe the lines and patterns on it resemble river systems and geological features of Egypt that would not have been known thousands of years ago. Even more disturbing, a few claimed it even shows areas that could only be mapped with aerial knowledge. Mainstream Egyptologists insist it's just decorative or symbolic, but the controversy around it led to the artifact being locked in storage rather than displayed to the public. Whether it's an ancient oddity or evidence of forgotten knowledge, the fact that it's rarely studied makes it all the more mysterious. Discovered in the late 1800s at the site of Akhenaten, the Amarna Letters were clay tablets written in cuneiform that documented correspondence between the Egyptian pharaohs and other rulers of the ancient Near East. At first glance, they look like routine diplomatic texts, but a closer reading revealed something deeply unsettling. They contained desperate pleas from vassal states begging Egypt for military aid, warnings of invasions, and even references to mysterious groups like the Hibiru, often linked to early Hebrews. These records painted Egypt not as an invincible empire, but as a kingdom struggling to maintain control. The fragile image of ancient Egypt as unstoppable was shattered, and for years, many of these letters were hidden away in archives. They revealed a far more chaotic and vulnerable world than people were comfortable admitting. In 1954, archaeologists found a massive cedarwood ship buried at the foot of the Great Pyramid of Giza. It was sealed in a limestone pit and perfectly preserved for over 4,000 years. At first, it seemed like a stunning treasure, but the more experts studied it, the stranger it became. The ship was fully functional, large enough to sail, yet there was no evidence it had ever touched water. Instead, it appeared to be a symbolic solar bark meant to carry Pharaoh Khufu into the afterlife. What disturbed some researchers was the craftsmanship. The ship was built with incredible precision, using a construction method that seemed far too advanced for its time. The discovery was so strange that for years the boat was hidden from the public, only restored and displayed decades later. Even now, many of its mysteries remain unsolved. In 2015, archaeologists announced the discovery of an underground tomb in Abu Sir that they believed was dedicated to the god Osiris. The tomb included a large central shaft leading to a chamber with a black sarcophagus surrounded by smaller burial chambers. The layout was eerily similar to ancient descriptions of the mythical tomb of Osiris himself. Some scholars dismissed the connection as symbolic, but the imagery inside was disturbing. There were carvings depicting demons, protective deities, and scenes of resurrection. The sarcophagus was empty, but the fact that the tomb matched so closely with myth raised unsettling questions. Was this just a symbolic temple, or had someone once been buried as a living embodiment of Osiris? For years, the site was closed to the public, accessible only to researchers. The secrecy has only fueled speculation that there was something inside the tomb the world wasn't ready to see. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I will see you again soon. Goodbye.